Good morning, sunshines, and happy Friday. And welcome back to another virtual story time with Mrs. C. I'm Mrs. C, your favorite virtual storytime librarian, here to share another great day of fun, reading, and learning. Have you enjoyed learning all about the letter D on this week? Have you enjoyed meeting our friend Daring Danny? What sound does Daring Danny's letter make? That's right, it makes the D sound. And do you know any words that begin with the D sound? Good job, sunshines. You said duck. Duck begins with the D sound. Do you know any more words? You remembered a word from our story yesterday. Delightful. Good job, sunshines, learning about the letter D on this week. You guys have learned how many letters so far? 4 letters. You've learned 4 letters so far. We've learned about the letter A, the letter B, the letter C, and the letter D. And you guys are so smart. And Mrs. C is so proud of you. And so is Daring Danny. Well, we're going to jump right into today's programming and today's story time. And Daring Danny has pulled a book off of the shelf that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. But before we get into today's story time, let's have our Move and Groove minute with our friend Mr. Jack Hartman, and we'll be right back with today's story. Have fun, sunshines!
Let's learn!
Let's learn!
Let's learn about the letters. Let's learn!
Let's learn!
About the letter D. Let's learn what D looks like. Let's learn what sound it makes. Then we'll write the letter D uppercase. And let's learn a word with D you can see and say.
This is an uppercase D.
Down, up, around. Down, up, around. Now you write an uppercase D all on your own.
Look and listen, and at the end say the letter sound and the word.
Letter D says D, D. Dog. D says D, D. Dog. D says D. Let's learn.
Let's learn!
Let's learn about the letters. Let's learn
Let's learn!
about the letter D.
Are you ready for story time? You are? Well, let's read, sunshines. Today, we are going to read the story called Dilly's Dog's Dizzy Dancing. Are you ready to read with me? Let's go. Dilly was a dancing dog. She loved doing her dizzy dances. Some of her dancing was very daring, and some was downright dangerous. Dilly Dog's dizzy dancing led to disaster after disaster. The kids at Alpha Betty School thought Dilly was a little daffy. They worried about Dilly. At dawn one day, Dilly was doing her usual dizzy dancing. She bounced on her bed as she did a wild dance. Suddenly, she hit the ceiling. Bang! Then she hit the floor. Thud! Dilly, called Daddy Dog, come downstairs and see what you've done. Dilly Dog felt dreadful when she saw the disaster. A flower pot was damaged. Daffodils were dumped on the floor. "I'm sorry, Daddy," said Dilly with dismay. "My dancing was a little too dizzy." "Oh, Dilly," Daddy replied, "I know you adore your dizzy dancing, but do try to be a bit more careful." The next day after school, Dilly danced down to the boat dock. "She's a darling dog," whispered Dory Duck, who worked at the dock, "but she's a tad dippy." "She's definitely a dear," whispered Dory's helper Danny, "but she's a tad dotty." Suddenly, Dilly decided to dance on the boat dock. She was not wearing a life jacket, and Dilly was dizzy from dancing. She darted, she dipped, she dove through the air. "Be careful!" cried Dory and Danny together. But Dilly Dog accidentally danced right off the end of the dock. The water was deep. Dilly was in danger. Without delay, Dory and Danny dove down into the deep, dark water. They dragged Dilly up, up, up. Dilly Dog paddled back to the dock. Dory and Danny duck paddled beside her. Daddy Dog came dashing down to the dock. "Dilly, you're drenched," said Daddy, "and you could have drowned." "I'm sorry, Daddy," said Dilly with dismay. "My dancing was definitely too dizzy." "Dilly," said Daddy, "it makes me sad, but I must ask you to stop dancing." Then he bundled her up and carried her home. Dilly Dog was feeling dreadful when she arrived at school the next day. She told Alphabetty about the disaster on the bed. She told Alphabetty about the disaster on the dock. Dilly hung her head and cried, "Daddy is disappointed in me. My friends think I'm dopey. I'm really down in the dumps." Dilly's tears dripped on her dress. "Don't be sad, Dilly," said Alphabetty. "You are a dear little dog. You just need to learn to dance differently." Then Alphabetty said something that dumbfounded Dilly Dog. "Did you know that I used to be a dancer?" Alphabetty asked. "No," whispered Dilly. "Yes," said Alphabetty. "I can show you delightful dances, dreamy dances, dazzling dances. Would you like to learn?" "Oh, yes," whispered Dilly. Alphabetty did some dance steps. Dilly tried to do them too. Some of the steps were difficult. Some were demanding. But Dilly was determined. Dilly Dog danced home that day, but she danced differently than she had ever danced before. She waved to Dory and Danny Duck. They called, "Hello, Dilly. You're doing a dandy dance today." "Daddy, look," said Dilly when she arrived home. "I'm done with dizzy dancing. Watch me dance now." Daddy was delighted with Dilly's new dance. "Dilly," he cried, "your dance is dazzling." Her smile was dazzling too. And Dilly never had a dancing disaster again. Well, almost never. The end. Sunshines, did you enjoy that story of Dilly the dizzy dancing dog? What was the problem in the story? That's right. Dilly loved to dance, but she did a lot of dizzy dancing. And what happened when she dizzy danced? That's right, Sunshines. She caused disaster after disaster. And her daddy told her to be more careful. But did Dilly listen to daddy? No. And what happened? She fell into the water off of the dock because of her dancing. And her daddy told her she had to stop dancing. That made Dilly feel sad. That's right. But Alpha Betty, her teacher, taught her a brand new dance, right? And it didn't cause any more disasters. So what kind of emotion did Dilly show then? She was happy. You know, Sunshines, we have a lot of things that we like to do, and some of those things may be daring, just like Daring Danny, but we have to learn how to be careful when we do the activities that we love to do, because we don't want to get hurt, right, Sunshines? And we don't want our friends to be hurt either, right? There were a lot of words in that story that began with the letter D. Can you call some of those words to me? Dazzling. Dazzling begins with the letter D. Do you know another one? Disaster. Disaster begins with the letter D. How about another one? Dizzy. That's right. Dizzy begins with the letter D. Sunshine's, good job paying attention and using your listening ears for today's story. This week and this weekend, I want you to spend the rest of the weekend continuing practicing the letter D, and go back and practice the letter A, B, and C along with it, and see how many words you can find and how many words you can point out, whether you're in the grocery store or you're shopping with your mom and dad at Target or Walmart. There are lots of words that begin with the letters that we have gone over. And I want you to come back on Monday and tell me about some of those words. On Monday, we will introduce a brand new character from our Alphabet Adventure Library to you. We are moving on to what letter, Sunshines? Do you know? That's right. On Monday, we will begin dealing with the letter E, and we can't wait to introduce our brand new Adventure Library character to you. So make sure you meet us back here on Monday morning. Sunshines, I want you to say goodbye to Daring Danny, but don't worry, he'll be back with us soon. But until Monday morning, Sunshines, keep reading, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.